advocates, youth representatives from community-based organizations, interested residents, local government agencies, and academic institutions. The purpose of the coalition is to help establish and sustain a community air monitoring network, evaluate air data, foster cooperative relations among sites and partners, and ultimately make recommendations based on the project findings. This group meets on a quarterly basis. First of all, just a few housekeeping items for those that are in attendance in the room here. Just a friendly reminder to silence your phones and go ahead and turn off any kind of amplification or microphone that might be on your device. Another housekeeping for those that are here in person, parking validation is available for those parking in the Pierce Street garage. So contact me afterwards, after the meeting, or if you plan to leave early, and I can provide that validation for parking. So before we begin, I think first we'll start with introductions. I'll go ahead and start, and then we'll work sort of clockwise around the room. Myself and Lizzie will get to all those in person, and then we'll introduce those online. So my name is Wyatt Burchell. I'm with the Transportation Planning Organization, working on this Community Air Monitoring Network project. Together with, we're partnering, as many of you know, with the University of South Florida, the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough, and the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association as a community consultant. My colleague Lizzie.
I'm Lizzie Baker. I work both with the Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization on this project, and I also work on the Planning Commission. And I know a lot of you, but yeah, looking forward to the coalition meeting.
Hi everyone, I'm Jocelyn Daniels. I'm a graduate student at USF and I'm fellowing with the TPO and working on that air quality project.
Hi, I'm Andrea Stangoni. I'm from Hillsborough County Public Schools. I oversee and manage the green teams, and I will be sharing a little bit about that today.
Hello, Courtney Wright from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. I'm a senior planner there, and I work on the Clean Air Tampa Bay project.
Sarah Kaper, I'm with the TPO, and I help support the efforts of the coalition.
Hi, I'm Michelle Jenkins, and I'm with the Environmental Protection Commission of Hillsborough County. We are partners on this project and big supporters. We think this is a great project, and we help to assist with some of the monitoring expertise, siting, and promotion.
Well, wonderful. I'm just going to do these sort of in the order that I see online attendance. Let's see. Lama, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Well, my name is Lama Al-Fatih. I'm with Hillsborough County.
Okay. So I believe Brittany.
Hi, my name is Brittany Pantin, and my pronouns are she, her, and I am with Central Florida Job with Justice. I'm a TAPA organizer. I'm so happy to be in this space and learn from you all.
Okay, wonderful. Cara?
Hi, I'm Kara Wood-Sarah. I'm the Director of Resiliency at the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. I work with Courtney Wright, and I'm just joining to get more information about how we can monitor air quality. Thank you.
David Sinclair. You may be muted, David. Okay, we can go back to see that if David's unavailable at the moment. Dee?
Hi, I'm Dee Morales, and I am with 813 Hood Garden, and we are partnered with Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association.
Wonderful. Emily Pickett?
Hi, I am Emily Pickett. I'm the Florida organizer with Moms Clean Air Force, the advocacy group.
Great. Eric?
Eric Muki, City of Tampa Parks and Recreation Urban Forestry Program.
It's nice to have you, Eric. Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Gogi-Chaishvili. I'm the Department Director for Hillsborough County Aging Services.
Okay. Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kelly Fearon with Kittleson, and we've just been helping the TPO identify some new sites and interview some of the existing sites. So thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us. Matthew?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm an undergraduate research assistant at University of South Florida under Dr. Stewart.
Great to have you, Matthew. Nicole?
Hi, I'm Nicole Pinson. I'm with Tampa Family Health Centers, and I work on our community garden and with our grant writer.
Wonderful. I may be, there's not a name associated here, but a username read.ai. Okay, that might be. Sherry.
Hi, I'm Sherry Sutton, and I am working on the Clean Air Tampa Bay project with Courtney and Kara.
Wonderful. And I believe there are two more. Joel, are you online?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Joel Yap. I'm a health educator consultant here in the Department of Health.
Okay, wonderful, Joel. And the final attendee online, Sana. I apologize for any names.
No worries.
Yes.
I'm Janvi Soni. I'm the air monitoring operator with the Sarasota County.
Well, wonderful. Thank you again so much for everyone making the time
Hey,
available.
Wyatt, Wyatt, you forgot.
Oh,
them.
Amy, I'm so sorry. We cannot miss. Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Stewart. I'm a professor at USF, and my group is one of the core groups involved in the development of this network. So, and we'll be doing some presentations later today. And I think Serena also didn't get introduced. Wyatt.
Serena, I apologize. You are so instrumental that it has just been permanently, you know, that-
Well, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is
Yes.
Serena Eccles, and I am a graduate research assistant at the University of South Florida under the leadership of Dr. Stewart.
Well, thank you, Dr. Stewart, and thank you, Serena. We look forward to your presentation later this afternoon. So we'll go ahead and move into the presentation. I want to make sure I'm able to advance slides and
It looks like the screen stopped sharing.
yeah, I need to go back. Okay, just bear with me for a moment.
If anyone joined us after introduction, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. And that way we'll incorporate you as the meeting attendees as well.
Okay, for those online, are the slides appearing as a full screen? I see just the slides, nothing else? Okay, wonderful. So the, as I mentioned earlier, this is our second quarterly Coalition for Community Air Monitoring meeting. We have an exciting agenda prepared, and we'll begin with first, I want to hand it over to Sarah Caper, Executive Planner with the Transportation Planning Organization, to provide a progress report on activities we've completed and begun work on since we last met. And then following Sarah, Jocelyn Daniels, who is a USF Master of Urban and Regional Planning graduate student, is also a fellow with the Transportation Planning Organization to provide an update on the informational guidebook, which will be a resource for the community. So Sarah, would you like to go ahead and begin?
Thank you. So as Wyatt mentioned, I'm going to provide some brief updates on what we've been working on the past quarter and what we're continuing to work on and coming up in the future. You can go to the next slide. Oh. Excuse me. So before we do that, a little bit of an overview on the project. So we're expanding what was the previous pilot project on the Community Air Monitoring Network. And you can see here some of the overview of what we'll be doing between 2023 and 2026, which includes establishing Community Air Monitoring Network, identifying pollutant concentrations and analyzing the data over time, and building capacity around air pollution in the built environment. And this coalition will help us greatly with all of these efforts to help us understand what is happening, help us with analyzing data, providing recommendations, and also building capacity in the community as we move forward. Next slide. And a little bit on where we started and where we are now and what's coming up. So as you can see here, when this started in March, November, approximately 2023, we were receiving grants, doing a quality assurance project plan, and kicking off activities with some of our community stakeholders. And then between December and May, we had the first coalition meeting on April 18th. We also initiated a public survey to get input from the community on where community sites might be, and also to gain interest on volunteers. So we asked the community for any volunteers that might want to either host night, participate in the coalition, or volunteer some other way. And there are a number of opportunities that people can participate. And so that survey is still ongoing, and we can share the link in the chat in a little bit for those who haven't done it, who might be interested in either completing the survey or sharing it with your networks. And we are routinely going in and checking to see if we have any new responses and getting that data so we can invite members to participate in the coalition, explore opportunities to volunteer, or explore future sites that were recommended. So also in that time period, we did identify some sites, and we've been working with some potential community sites. We did just sign an agreement with one new sites. We're really happy to have them join our network. The monitor has not yet been installed, but we are working to do that, I think, any day now. So really excited to have them come on board. We've also been working to co-locate monitors, develop the guidebook that Jocelyn will talk about in just a few minutes, and also work with the Hillsborough County Public Schools Green Teams, which you'll hear more about on educational materials. You can see right now we're in the June to November timeframe, so we have our coalition meeting today. We're also going to be working this time period on installation, training, on establishing more sites, hosting an annual summit later this year, and then distributing the guidebook that Jocelyn will go over. And you can see looking forward between now and 2026, we'll be continuing to review site criteria and identify additional sites, establish those, provide training, continue to look at revising our outreach materials, hosting annual summits, having other kinds of trainings for volunteers. And then a really important thing as we get to 2026 is establishing next steps and using this coalition to help us develop recommendations on where this project and this coalition and program goes in the future. I think, right, if you could go to the next slide. I'll turn it over to Jocelyn to talk a little bit more about the guidebook.
Okay, hi everyone. So we've been working on the guidebook, which will pretty much be outlined on the purpose of why we're doing the project overall, guiding on installing, managing, and the importance of the network. And then, so the audience of it, is members of the network, community members, and other organizations that are looking to replicate our network. So the guidebook is going to be broken up into 7 chapters. So the first one is just an introduction to the project overall, just the strong overview. The next part will talk about the air quality and importance. So that's a lot of the historical background and what air quality looks like today in Hillsborough County. The third one is the monitoring and management. So that's an overview of what the monitors will look like. The 4th chapter is specific to Hillsborough County and what the air quality looks like here in the past and what it looks like now, and a lot of the work that the EPC has been doing to help clean the air and their regulatory monitors. The 5th chapter is about installing and maintaining the sites, and that's a lot of work done by USF, and that talks a lot of the I guess the basis of what a lot of the community members need, because we want to start the network, but we want the community to continue the network. So this will be a set up basis of what they can look forward to in maintaining their network. The 6th chapter is understanding and data analysis of the data that we get from the monitors. And the last chapter will be the appendix, which will actually be a separate document. And that has a lot more of the technical materials, instructions for installation, and some of the maps as well of different areas that will have the air quality monitors.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jocelyn. For the community site spotlight, at this coalition, we're looking at featuring some community sites. Previously, we featured the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association as a partner site. We like to introduce new sites, and out of that, be able to, as the project expands, get a preview of what their experiences have been like with the project so far, benefits and opportunities that they've had, any type of items that have had to be overcome, and where cooperation and collaboration can play a role in resolving this. I wanted to frame this conversation with a person who's been really instrumental in at least documenting a lot of the early discussions that have gone on with some of the eligible sites. Kelly with Kittleson and Associates. Kelly, would you like to make a few remarks?
Yeah, definitely. We've just been kind of helping in this next phase to take all of the prioritization work that Plan Hillsborough has done before this and identify where there are opportunities for new sites. So some of you on this call might have heard from us as we were kind of reaching out to find out if you were interested in having a site. And also we've done a few interviews to existing sites to really get an idea of why are you part of the coalition, what are you getting from it, so that we can use that material and really develop some informational guidelines and things like that to make sure we're promoting the program and getting as many people involved as possible.
Well, thank you, Kelly. I wanted to introduce Brian Knox, who was instrumental in the pilot program identifying Robles Park and also, but before I get into that, I just wanted to confirm if Brian was in attendance. I didn't see him. Okay, Brian. Well, Brian is a senior forester examiner with the City of Tampa, working within the city planning department. Brian has been involved in identifying initial park sites using initial selection criteria, as I mentioned in the pilot program, in Robles Park and Perry Harvey Park. Brian, would you like to share a few comments on the role that you've had, the experience that you've had, things that might be a benefit to those in attendance thinking about potentially being a site, and some of the work that you've done so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Brian Knox. I'm with City Planning in the city of Tampa. And I've worked in conjunction with our Parks and Rec department. They were the ones that really did the heavy lifting for this in terms of the site selection. And so initially we were a part of the pilot experience where we selected several sites around the city of Tampa that did include Robles Park. It also included Sulphur Springs, and it included Perry Harvey Senior Park. And with that, Eric Muki and I, we went out to the sites and we found locations where not only the air monitors could be located, but also making sure those air monitors were secure. And so we also picked locations where there were a decent amount of traffic flow. And so we could get some exposure for the air quality monitoring placards that were located in those parks. And so that was my primary participation in this project so far. I participated in the other sessions that were at the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association as well. And yeah, it's really been good to be a part of this project just because we have similar projects going on as well. One of the projects we have going on that's similar to this one is the cooling study that we've done with the Nature's Area Conservancy. And so we found a lot of similarities with that project. And so for us, it has a lot of value in terms of comparing air monitoring quality along with the cooling effect of trees that for parks and other forested areas.
Okay, well, thanks, Brian. I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if there are other sites that would like to say a few words as to their experiences, we have time for some additional comment. Sharing any perspectives so far, lessons learned. Well, I think with that, we can move on. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Brian. I wanted to, so one of the key aspects of this project is focused on educational opportunities and promoting a general public interest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. With STEM curriculum, USF has been collaborating with Andrea Stringoni from Hillsborough County Public Schools, where she works with the growth management, siting, and planning. And she's been part of an effort with the Hillsborough County Public Schools Green Teams, which have a multiplicity of different activities that they're involved in. But they've been focused a lot on developing curriculum in partnership with USF aimed at K through 12 curriculum. So I wanted, without saying any more, Andrea, to go ahead and share with us some of what your group is working on and some of the activities that you've developed.
Okay. So we owe, my role for being at this table is I oversee and manage the Hillsborough County Public Schools Green Teams, which is volunteer teacher leaders usually at every site. And I say the word volunteer because we know how busy teachers are, but this is something they take on over and above to be the green team lead at their site. And we focus on environmental stewardship in all categories. They meet as clubs, typically, sometimes after school, sometimes during lunch. It varies based on site. Our goal here is to create stewards of environment, champions of environmental stewardship in our students. We provide a guide for them that has suggested monthly topics. In this annual guide this year, we'll actually be highlighting air quality activities, which we didn't have previous to this particular coalition. Once we joined, we saw an area where we could partner with USF and add air quality as one of our main activities for our green teams. You can go to the next slide, and I just put up what Green Teams is about, but I want to thank Dr. Stewart and Serena on the call here. We worked with USF, with Dr. Stewart and the grad students, and Serena just overwhelmed us with the volume of information she was able to send us to look at, to use, to create activities for our teams. And I'm careful to say it's not curriculum, because this is a volunteer club-based organization that does activities. But we wanted these activities rooted in the correct information, accurate information, and sound scientific principles. USF overwhelmed us with that data. Like, it was so much good quality information that our partners that I work with, the Power Ed team, were able to create 2 activities, one designated for K through 5, to really introduce the idea that air is everywhere, and activities that we engage in every day impact air quality for the positive or other. And then we also created an activity for grades 6 through 12, where they can dive into a lot of the data being collected by the air monitors. And at the end of the day, all of this is about empowering students to understand that their actions have consequences or ramifications. And so if they can understand activities that they engage in every day, or their parents perhaps engage in every day, we might, help contribute to clean air. One of the things that's a personal thing for me that some students have mentioned when we talk to them is the car rider lines. Parents sit in the car rider lines a lot of times with the air running all the time. And some students have mentioned that maybe they should turn the car off. So that's an example of what these type of club-based activities bring to students, to make that awareness kind of trickle out beyond the school doors into the community. And that's what I really wanted to share today, is that's what Green Teams does, is helps empower students with knowledge on how to be better environmental champions, stewards of their environment. But I have to thank USF tremendously. Serena can speak to all of the information, that she shared if she wants to. We really enjoyed working with Dr. Stewart, and look forward to officially sharing these activities with Serena and Dr. Stewart, so they can see all of the information they gave and how we were able to bring it down to an activity doable in a club atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and I did want to say it was a great experience to just gather all the materials. And currently I'm working on some air monitor specifics. So through the activities that you guys will see today about our 2 specific air monitors that we place in the communities in Hillsborough County. So I'm making some that would be K through 12 in high school and middle school as well. So hopefully we'll have some more Green Team activities as well.
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
And I just wanted to give this is Ames Stewart. I just wanted to give a little shout out to Garrett Rawl too, who was also very involved in producing those materials. So I just want to give him a little bit of the credit as well. He's an undergraduate at USF.
And if I could just follow up that last slide you should show, I got off track a little bit, but part of the goal for Green Teams as well is to get schools to get Florida Green School designation. And there's 5 factors that you have to focus on. And you see number 5 is air quality. So with the addition of these activities to our clubs, we're better able to meet the benchmarks that are needed for Green School designation. And I do want to share that we do have one school now, Riverview High School, last year actually has a Green School designation from the state of Florida. And so we hope to add many more. Congratulations. Thank you. It's very exciting. So we're trying to make things great.
Thank you so much. So to provide a detailed interactive training for site hosts and volunteers, we have Dr. Amy Stewart and Serena Eccles from the University of South Florida. Dr. Stewart and Serena, the floor is yours. Actually, I should note for this portion of the presentation, because you're joining us virtually, it may make sense for you to go ahead and share your screen virtually. And then, okay, looks like that's perfect. Okay.
I think Serena is going to share her screen. Oh yeah, she's got it.
Are you all able to share it? I mean, are you all able to see my screen?
We can see that, yes.
Okay, great.
Terrific. All right, well, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Hello. I just wanted to say that it's been great working with all of you and with the green teams. It's been such a neat opportunity to work with you all and coming up with ideas and materials. And so I look forward to seeing the full lessons and just really enjoying the interaction. So hi, everyone. It's great to see you again after our as we begin to expand the network. I already introduced myself. My group is one of the groups that's been really involved in this development and supporting this network. And today, my students and I are going to provide some training for site hosts and for volunteers on network processes. And please give us just a little bit of slack. One of our core presenters came down ill just the other day, and so we had to kind of scramble a little bit, but hopefully we're going to provide a good, smooth experience for you. Next slide. All right, so to start, so we talked about the purpose of the network. It's designed to be a community-based network that provides data on air quality for your neighborhood and for your use, building collaborations and trust between the communities and government agency partners like the TPO and the Environmental Protection Commission, and empowering community voices in appropriate urban transportation design and air quality management. So hence a substantial part of this project is community member involvement in all aspects of the network, from design to data collection and its interpretation. So hence we've been developing these educational training and engagement materials, including what we're doing here. And one important document is that which Jocelyn mentioned, which is the guidebook, and this guidebook for community members on activities of the network and on understanding data for the network. And we have here on this slide, just on the right-hand side, another draft of that network. And today we're going to focus on, over the next half an hour to 45 minutes, we'll focus on providing some instructions and training that come from Chapter 5 of that guidebook. And we'll start with training for site hosts and those who may be considering becoming involved as a site host or a volunteer, and we'll training on installing an air sensor for your site. And then we'll do some training on maintaining an air sensor device for existing site hosts or those who just want to understand what that will entail. And you can see these two pictures. These are the two monitors that we have currently in the network. The Clarity Node S, and that measures particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide, and then the Purple Air 2 sensor, and that measures particulate matter. Next slide. All right, so we'll start with air sensor installation. There are detailed instructions on installation in the guidebook. They will be in the guidebook and accompanying appendices to that guidebook. But here we're going to step through kind of briefly what that entails. Next slide. All right, so we'll go through the installation process together, and we'll focus on a few things. We'll focus on identifying an installation location, because the site host needs to be quite involved in that process, and then preparing for the installation of two of the most common types of installations, and that is the installation of a Clarity Node S device on a pole, and you can see that in the top right picture. That's one of our sites, and then also the second type is installation of the Purple Air 2 device on a masonry or concrete wall. And we have an example of that at one of our other sites in the lower picture. And then finally, we'll go through briefly the steps of installing for that first type of installation. And so that everybody kind of feels comfortable and understands what it takes to install a monitor and get involved in the installation of one of these air sensor monitors. And to lead you through these, I will pass the microphone back to Serena, who will talk you through that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Stewart. And so this next slide has identifying an installation site. And to find a suitable site to install any of these monitors, there are certain requirements, which are listed here. It must be installed on a wall or a pole and high enough to discourage tampering, about 10 feet, it doesn't have to be exact, away from direct sources of air pollution, diesel generators, barbecue, fire pits, garden equipment, a shed, anything that produces any type of air pollution, and then several feet away from obstacles. So dense vegetation, other walls, anything that blocks the airflow from getting to the monitor, especially in the direction of interest, which is the interstate and the highway. And last but not least, of course, we want to get the community involved with the air monitor. So of course, if it's visible to community, but not in the way of anything, it would be really great. So community members can inquire about what an air monitor is and get more involved. And for our two different air monitors, there are some site-specific things. And so for the Purple Air, it has to have a reliable Wi-Fi connection and also accessible to a power outlet, because that's how that device is powered. And as you can see in this photo, there's a power outlet all the way down here. It's not very visible, but this is a great location for a Purple Air. Next, we have the Clarity Node S, and since it's powered by the solar panel, we need an unobstructed view towards the south. And as you can see, this is actually a site that we went to, and we took some pictures to do just scouting out the site for the location, and these are two sites that we chose to install an air monitor. Next up, we have two other examples of air monitors that we actually installed. And so on the left, we installed the Purple Air 2, and we installed it on a wall, and it's pretty high, and it's in a clear path in the direction of the roadway and the source of interest, which you can kind of see the highway in the back. It's away from obstacles that impede the airflow, away from immediate sources of air pollution, and it has reliable Wi-Fi. It's right next to this building, but it's really good to have Purple Airs on buildings to see if they have Wi-Fi as well, and then also accessible to a power outlet, which is noted in the image all the way down. And then for the Clarity Monitor example, we have, as you can see, the highway very clearly in the background, and it's mounted on a pole, clear path and away from obstacles, away from immediate sources of air pollution, and obstructed view towards the south. And so these are some really good examples of where we have installed air monitors and good locations to install air monitors. Alrighty, now it's your turn. So in the chat, if you all can look at these images, 1 through 7, and decide, are these appropriate locations to install an air monitor? If so, which air monitor and why or why not? Also, what else must be known to install the air monitor? So for example, if you don't necessarily see an outlet in the image, you can say, oh, an air monitor could be installed here if there was an outlet specifically for the Purple Air monitor. So I'm going to put on a timer for about 3 minutes, and please put your answers in the chat below. And then after the 3 minutes, I will go through all of the answers.
How about if everyone just picks one image and say what you think about whether what could be installed there or not installed? Yeah. Great, thank you.
Not in the chat, but I think number 7 might not have solar or power for the monitor.
for either of the monitors? You don't think it would be suitable?
I don't think, maybe the solar, if it was high enough, but I don't know. That doesn't look high enough to me. I feel like the sun would be blocking it.
Okay. Does anyone else want to share it out loud before I go over the answers? Alrighty, the 3 minutes are up, and I'm going to, let's see which of you got them right. And so the green check mark means that it is a suitable place for a solar, for a air monitor, sorry, excuse me, and then the X means no. So let's go through them. So for number 1, this is a good location for a purple air monitor. The building, if the building has Wi-Fi and there's electricity nearby. And so I don't know if you guys can see, but there is electricity nearby, and this building does have Wi-Fi. So this would be a great place for a purple air up top. Number 2, this would not be a good place to install either monitors because there is a fire grill and it's also too low that people could be able to tamper with it because it is a picnic area. For number 3, we have 2. So the pole is good for the Clarity Node S. There are no nearby sources of air pollution, and airflow is not impeded, and it is high enough to discourage tampering right here. And the purple air may be good right here on the wall to get access for Wi-Fi for the building, and then also to have electricity connected as well. To install a purple air on the pole, it may be a little bit more difficult, so that's why it will be better for it to be on the wall. So as you can see, this has 2 devices that could be installed here. For number 4, this will be a fantastic location to install a Clarity air monitor. It's very high up. It doesn't have any instructive views for the solar panel, and it's quite an amazing place. Number 5 would not be a suitable location. This is on the gate all the way next to a playground, so there could be tampering from the youth. Also, there's a lot of vegetation here, so if we did want to use a solar panel, it would be too low, but also it could be blocking the view as well. Number 6, this is actually on USF's campus, and we recently installed an air monitor here, the Clarity S Node to be exact, because it's such a great place, no impeded flow. We were able to install it on the pole effortlessly. But this is not a good location for the purple air. No access to power here. And then 7, you are absolutely correct. This is not a good location to install any of the monitors. It is too low. There's a lot of dense vegetation, and I'm pretty sure there's not a power outlet nearby, and it's near a walkway. So there would be a lot of tampering with this air monitor if it was to be installed here, but it's not a good location. So great. Hopefully you all have some good knowledge and skills to identify the potential installation locations at your host site. If you are selected to receive a TPO provided air sensor, we would love to reach out to you to schedule a visit to discuss the potential sites and start planning installation. However, anyone who wants to put up a monitor should just join the network, and they're welcome, and contact us if you need any assistance. Now I'll pass this back to Dr. Stewart.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about preparing to install the Clarity Node S sensor on a pole. Serena, I thought you were going to do this one, but I'm happy to do it. So, all right. So what we need, so we're going to talk about preparations. We're going to talk about the tools and supplies needed and what has to happen ahead of time. We're going to do this both for the Clarity Node S, and we'll do it for the Purple Air as well. And then we have a little activity similar to the previous one to kind of engage you. So please, pay attention to what you might need for each type of installation. So, so to start with, when we install the Clarity Node S, you need the monitor itself or the air sensor itself. That includes a body, which you can see in the left, the body of the sensor. It includes a solar panel and an antenna for both the powering and for the data communication. And then it comes with a charging adapter that you'll need to at the beginning, and then a bracket and screws and washers for that might be needed depending on what type of installation you have. What has to happen with the Clarity Node S prior to installation needs to be plugged in for 24 hours prior to installation. Now we would be, for a partner site in the network, the Clarity Node S would be provided to you, but you, and we would help with installation if you need that. But one of the preparation steps is to plug it in for 24 hours and make sure it has a good charge before it gets installed. Other supplies that are needed for this type of installation on a pole, we found that metal gear clamps work really well. You need gear clamps that are the right size as the whatever pole you're installing on, and then zip ties are used to just for the secure the ends of those gear clamps. You need some tools, a screwdriver, a socket wrench set for the installing the brackets. You need a ladder to be able to get to that height of about 10 feet. And of course, we don't want to forget our safety equipment, make sure, having work gloves and protective glasses. And don't do this if you don't feel comfortable using these tools. Reach out to us and we will come and help. And then finally, portable computing devices needed for the configuration process. All right, next slide. All right, on the other hand, for the Purple Air PM air sensor, if we want to install that on a concrete wall, that's second most common type of installation. Again, we need the air sensor, the monitor itself. It looks like what you can see there in that top left corner. It comes with a charging cable. The charging cable is actually installed with the device, not just for charging at the beginning, but it's installed with the device. And then for the Purple Air, as Serena mentioned, you need power, so you need access to an outlet somewhere you can get to an outlet, and you need access to Wi-Fi that's reliable enough for uploading of data. And then there are some of the same tools that we saw before are needed, of course, the computing device, the ladder, screwdriver, always your work gloves, and particularly for this one, you definitely want to be wearing protective glasses because you're working with a drill. If we're going into concrete or masonry, we need a hammer drill to make that work. We found using a small piece of wood, like you see here, is very helpful because sometimes you need to go and do maintenance on the monitors or remove the monitors. And so if you install a piece of wood, that makes those processes much easier. So we basically install the monitor on the wood and install the wood on the wall. And in order to do that installation on the wall, we use concrete anchors and then wood screws to install the monitor on the wood. That cable for power needs to be tied down, and so you need cable clamps and ties. And then, of course, you need your drill bits and your screwdriver bits to be able to drive those anchors and screws. And then we use a level. You need a level that's helpful to get everything aligned correctly, and a ruler and puncher for marking where you're going to be drilling. And then in some sites, an extension cord may be needed if you need it to reach the power outlet from the monitor. All right, so those are the pieces of equipment to kind of get started. And Serena is going to do an activity with you on this.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Stewart. I hope you guys have been paying attention, and now it's time to test what you remember about the materials that are needed. And so over the next 3 minutes again, if you could use your device to access use the QR code to access the link, or you can type in the tiny URL to go to the Jamboard. And you will see a toolbox full of tools, and you're going to pick which tools and resources are needed to install the Purple Air 2 or the Clarity Node S air monitors, or both. So we're going to go to the website, and this is the Jamboard. This is the toolbox. And so if everyone can join and you can move it around, just beware, everyone can edit. So there's a possibility that a tool may not be there when you need it to be there. So yes. And the middle box is for both. by the way, the middle box. So purple air is on the left, clarity is on the right, and the middle box is the materials needed for both. And I know it looks a little wonky, but I'll be able to go through all of them to, check our work. Oh, it looks like we may not need the full minutes. Oh no, somebody moved the whole box.
Oh my gosh.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Because I can still tell which goes where. Alrighty, we're gonna start with purple air. So, absolutely correct. Power is needed for the purple air. Of course, the purple air sensor, you need that as well. The wooden board is really, really good for when installing on masonry or stone. You need this to install the monitor on. Also, the power cord is really great. Yes, and you might need an extension cord depending on how long the power source is away. And we also have zip ties for the purple air sensor. And let's go back to the power.
Zip ties are gonna be needed for the other one. For the
Yes, and
clarity.
so if we go back to the PowerPoint, as you can see, the zip ties are right here for the clarity. So sorry about that one. It was not that correct. So now we have the one for both. We have both. Wi-Fi. Sorry guys, but Wi-Fi is not needed for both. Wi-Fi is only needed for the player. So you almost got that one. Cell phone. Absolutely. A cell phone is needed for both to configure the devices when you do installation. So that's needed, and that's going to go right here in the middle. A drill. Yes, that is going to be needed for both as well.
Not for this type. No, not for this type. We only really need the drill for the concrete and masonry wall. You could use a drill. So I mean, it's okay to say both because you could use a drill to help you close those gear clamps, but you don't really need it. You could just use a screwdriver.
Absolutely. Maybe from my experiences installing the clarity, we mostly use the drill sometimes to secure it. So we just wanted to make sure it was secure. So it can be used for both, but it also could be optional because you can't use a screwdriver as well. A pencil. You will only need a pencil with the purple air if you are using the wooden board. So that goes over to the purple air side. We have some gear clamps. The gear clamps are used for the purple air as well.
Cable ties. Those are cable ties, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes, they are cable ties. I am so sorry. Let me zoom it in. Yes, the cable clamps. And then we also have some screws down here, and you do need screws for both as well. Now let's move on.
The insulation on the wall for the purple air. You need a lot more things.
Yes. And so it is depending on what type of installation you're doing with the purple air. But for the wall installation, you need a little bit more materials. And thank you so much, Dr. Stewart, for clarifying that. So for the clarity, you need these metal clamps to secure it to the pole when you're doing a pole installation. Of course, you need the bracket because that's where this goes. You might actually need a ladder for both, depending on the location. So the ladder is going to go in the middle. Of course, you need the body of the Clarity Node S. You will need a screwdriver and or a drill for both, depending on your installation and depending on your access to the resources. So that's going to go in the middle. No matter what installation you're doing, you're always going to need your safety materials. So you have your gloves and you have your glasses, just for safety, just to be sure. And then right here we have a wrench kit that you will need, and that one goes in the middle as well. You can use it for both.
But mostly you need it for the clarity, installing that bracket on the back of the clarity. That's primarily what you're using it for.
Gotcha, and that's right here. So yes, thank you so much for participating with my activity. And now we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. Alrighty, and so now we're going to walk through the steps through installing a Clarity Node S sensor on a pole. So first and foremost, you have to attach the bracket to the back of the Clarity S node body. So you have to attach this part to this part. Next, you have to thread the 2 circular gear clamps through the holes of the bracket, as you can see here. And then in step 3, attach the open end of the gear clamp to the pole and adjust the sensor positioning that it faces the south. So as you can see right here is where you would use that screwdriver and or power drill to secure the gear clamps to the pole and making sure that the body could face towards the south. And number 4, you attach the antenna, and it's very crucial to make sure the antenna is directly straight up and parallel, just straight up, facing up, and then making sure that the solar panel is facing an angle of about 40.5 degrees. So it's not flat and it's not vertical or horizontal. It has an angle. And then number 5, you're going to plug in the solar panel cable to the body of the device. So this small cable right here that you see is how you plug the solar panel up to the body of the device. And then you're done. You have installed your Clarity Node S air sensor on a pole. Next, to configure which syncs your air sensor to the location, you have to find the longitude and latitude of your monitor. And so if you're using an Apple device, or you can use Google Maps, you just need to use a Maps to access your coordinates. And your coordinates is the longitude and latitude. So you click on the pop-up window to find the longitude and latitude, and you take a screenshot.
Let's have people do this. Remember, Serena, let's have people go through it. So you would normally, if you're doing it, you would be standing under a monitor. But for today's activity, everybody can, if you have a phone, you can find out your location by following this activity. So take out your phone if you have it and follow along. Go ahead, Serena.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to follow along on my phone as well. So you, depending on the type of phone you have iPhone, you can use Apple Maps, or you can use Google Maps as well to find the coordinates of your current location. And so you are able to go to your location. Is everybody at their location on their phone?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And for Apple specifically, when I scroll all the way down and click mark my location, it clicks it, and then you scroll, and then you are able to see the coordinates. So a pop-up bar kind of comes here where it says the coordinates. And for mine, it says like dropped pin because it has the current location of where you are. So on Apple Maps, if you scroll all the way down to mark my location, and then you scroll down again, the coordinates will pop up. Did that work for anyone who had Apple?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then for Google, I am in Google right now. We are going to go to, okay, so the first screen that pops up where you are, you're going to click where you are. My connection does not want to work for Google. It's just loading.
It should be very similar. So if people have Google, it should be very similar. Just click on the little blue button and it should take you there. As long as you have location enabled.
Yes.
Anybody do it with Google?
If you hold it down, it's kind of the same thing. If you hold it down, it looks like it'll just pop up the coordinates in the search bar.
That, or it can drop a pin at
Yeah.
your location, and the pin shows the coordinates as well.
Gotcha. Thank you all for helping me with that, because I'm not that familiar with Google Maps on my phone. And then after you get your coordinates for your installed air monitor, you're going to take a screenshot of the coordinates and a photo and notes on the monitor location and send it over to the project team. And then you'll receive an email that your data are accessible on the Clarity data dashboard, which we're going to talk through those process to accessing that soon.
And don't forget to take a couple of pictures of your monitor. So, take the screenshot of the location and take a couple of pictures of the monitor as it's installed and send those to the team. Okay, so now we're going to talk about, all right, once you have your monitor installed, what do you do? You're on your way to having data on air quality in your neighborhood. However, sometimes things can go wrong with your monitor. Things that can go wrong include it being dislodged from its mount. It can be disconnected from power. It can be disconnected from Wi-Fi, and most of those affect the purple air. Or even a bug can build a nest in the air inlet, which we've had to deal with in this network. So any of those things can go wrong, and then they can affect the collection of data. So to ensure the air sensor produces a quality data for everyone's use, the data needs to be checked regularly, and the monitors need to be maintained in working order. During our last coalition meeting, we discussed the quality assurance project plan for the network. And the quality assurance project plans help to ensure that usable data are produced from the network. And one of the quality assurance activities for the network are checks, and specifically the weekly checks for air sensor help by site hosts or by volunteers. And these checks have two purposes. First, they complement the monthly data checks that USF does on all the monitors in the network. And the weekly checks really just help to identify problems earlier and minimize loss in data. So if somebody's looking at the data every week, then we know more quickly if something went wrong. But second, and probably most important, is they help to engage site hosts and community volunteers with the data, improving understanding of that data and neighborhood air quality, and hopefully enhancing the potential for community use of the data. Today I'm going to go through this check process. To facilitate the check process, we've developed what's called a standard operating procedure that provides the detailed instructions and a checklist for recording completion of the check. The two documents are on this slide, show that checklist on the right, and the center is a screenshot of the SOP document itself. And we're going to step through this. It takes about 5 minutes. Once you're familiar, it takes about 5 minutes to do a check. So it may look a little daunting to see all those words on the page, but it's really quite a short check once you get familiar with it. This SOP and the checklist are available on the project website as appendix to the quality assurance project plan, and they are also going to be in the guidebook. So if you want, right now, if you're online, you could take a screenshot of this page, and it will that way you'll have a checklist to refer to for now, but you don't really need to do that because we're going to walk through each of those. Checkbox is on the check sheet. All right, so overview of this check. Basically, these weekly checks, the site hosts or volunteers, they're asked to look at the sensor data at a time of the week that's convenient, fill out the checklist and keep it as a record, keep it for yourself as a record, perform simple maintenance if possible and if it's doable, and then just contact the project team if there are any issues that cannot be resolved. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to start with checking the purple air sensor. And the way that you do this, the first step is to go to the purple air real-time map. And I've put the link there. Go ahead and go to the link. Let's see, I'll give a minute to do that. Please follow along and go to the link. I put the link in the chat just so it makes it easy. You can click on it. Is everybody at the purple air map link? All right, so once you get to the link, zoom into our network area. Zoom into Tampa and the Tampa of Hillsborough County area, and you'll see a bunch of circles on the map. Everybody zoomed in? Okay, so at this point, if you're doing your sensor check, you'd be checking your sensor at your site or the site that you're volunteering to look at the data for. However, for the purpose of today, just pick any site that you think is interesting, maybe one near where you live, but just pick a site, and that's going to be the site that you're going to simulate the check on. All right, so if you feel like it, put in the chat what site you chose, or just say it out loud, either way. Okay, Lizzie, what site did you choose?
I'm at New Mount Zion.
New Mount Zion, okay. What about Brian? Brian, what site did you choose?
I chose the US EPA website on North Monroe Street off of North Boulevard.
Okay, great. Anyone else want to share what site they chose?
Site 10.
Does it have a name?
I see a number. I picked a number. I don't see a name. I see.
Okay, that's fine. You'll find the name in a minute, so that's okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you picked the site. Good. All right. So you're going to see, as we see, you see several sites representing, these basically represent the sites in the network, or the air monitors in the network. These are the purple air sensors. Okay. Next slide. All right, so the first thing you want to do is just look at the color of the circle that you chose. And if there's a color there, and it will have a number in it, that tells you that that your sensor is operating, it's working. If it's gray, then it's not working. So if there's a color there and it's not gray, then all you need to do is check the box that says the monitor circle on the map is colored, not gray, which tells us it's working. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so that's the first step is done. The next thing you want to do is click on the button. Click on the circle. All right, and you'll get a couple of pop-ups. We're going to focus on the pop-up that looks like the one on this slide. It has a big number in the upper right corner and a bunch of other information on it. All right, so look at the information by the red arrow on my slide. All right, there should be a bunch of numbers. These basically provide values of the pollutant level for different averaging periods. And if you see numbers listed here, you can check the box on the checklist that just says data were collected this week. So you just check that box. And that basically just indicates that there are data that, it's working, the data are being collected. All right, next slide. All right, so the next thing is that you want to look at the Wi-Fi bars. You probably recognize them from other things, but I have a red arrow there so you can see them. If at least one of those bars is in color, that means that the Wi-Fi is operating. So you can click the box on the checklist that says the Wi-Fi connection is active. Right, so you basically checked 3 boxes, one that says that the circle is not gray, one that says the data have been collected, and one that says the Wi-Fi connection is active. Next slide. And the final step of this check is just looking at that graph. When you clicked on the circle, a graph popped up, and that graph shows the recent air quality trends over time, so the recent levels of air pollution, and particularly the air quality index, and some short-term peaks. So depending on which site you clicked on, you might see some different peaks. On the slide, you can see we see a peak at around July 12th. Viewing of this data is just for informational purposes. It's just to get you engaged and interested in questioning and asking about what does this mean. You don't need to check anything on the list. There's only those 3 boxes on the checklist. Next slide. All right, so how many of you were able to check all the boxes or would have been able to check all the boxes on your site?
I would have.
Anyone else?
Me, yeah. So Dr. Stewart, is there a place where you would note if the, like Wi-Fi wasn't working one day? So out of the 7 days, I had a couple of gray days and the rest of them had data or figures in them.
No, you don't need to note that here. I mean, you're absolutely welcome to note that in your own notes and share that information, but you don't need to do that. As long as it's operating at the time that you look, it's okay. We will see that, you know, that means that if it was, there'll be a little bit of lost data, but if it's back to operational, we'll see that and then we would initiate kind of finding out if this is a regular process or not as we see it in the month. All right, so all the boxes checked. Anybody who couldn't check a box? Okay, that's good. That's good news. But anyway, it's going to be the case that sometimes you won't be able to check all the boxes. And if that happens, then there are some simple maintenance things that you can do. And I've listed them here. They are to inspect the monitor, to make sure it's present, it's undamaged, and it's free of obstructions. So, you know, sometimes maybe it fell or some obstruction fell on it or something like that. You can also look at the plug where the power supply for the Purple Air is plugged in to ensure it's active. You can make sure the cord is not damaged. So basically just look at that. Make sure that the power supply to the Wi-Fi modem is active if that Wi-Fi connection isn't healthy. And possibly change the placement of the Wi-Fi modem to optimize the Wi-Fi signal for the monitor. So those are all kind of standard maintenance that you can do to fix the issue. But if there's any problems that can't be resolved, or if you're just not comfortable doing that, please reach out to us. And any issue that can't be resolved, please contact us, contact the project team, that's USF or the TPO. And there'll be more details on that contact information in the documents we were talking about. But just reach out to us and then we can help to diagnose what's going on and try to get things fixed. So that is it. That is the check for the Purple Air sensor. There are 3 things to check. And I'm going to hand it over to Serena to do basically the same process, slightly different for the Clarity No Death.
Yes, thank you. And now Clarity Node S is up next. So if you guys could navigate to the openmap.clarity.io website to get to the Clarity Open Map.
Can you drop it in the chat, please?
And yes, please, Dr. Stewart, can you drop it in the chat for me?
Yep.
Thank you. And it should look like something similar to this over here. You should see a lot of circles similar to the Purple Air as well. So once you access the open map, it might look zoomed out. And so you'll need to zoom into your community area and find the circles that represents the site that you want. And so just pick a site that interests you, that's maybe close to your neighborhood, or a site that may be close to somewhere where you go often. And then you should see several circles representing sites in our community network. So once you zoom in, it should go from this image to this image where it's more specified view. Is everyone there?
Yes.
Yes.
So first, you're going to expect the status of the device based on the presence of the color in the circle. And so similar to Purple Air, if the circle is green, it is active. And so, or to just see that the monitor circle is present on the map. The colors for this represent something different. And so to just see if the monitor circle is present for your specific monitor on the map that you're looking for. And then you're able to check that off the checklist. Next up, you're going to click the circle representing the monitor at your site, and you will see this pop-up panel, and you're going to expect the AQI to ensure the value is provided. And if the AQI value is provided, you're going to check the box. So this is making sure, once again, the monitor is active and seeing what the current AQI is. Is everyone able to access this pop-up box?
Yes.
Yes. Great. And now we're going to check this off because I see the AQI and it's good. Next up, you're going to inspect the entry for the current as of. This provides the date and time of the data shown. If the date and time are within the last 24 hours, check the box. So as you can see, it says current of. And if this was within 24 hours, then you're able to check this box that represents the data were collected in the past day. Does everyone see this right here as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Alrighty, and lastly, you can click the show the plot and it will show you a graph similar to the purple air graph. And down here you can do for 1 week, 1 day, 1 month, and 1 year. And this just shows the trend in the AQI and the air quality, whether it goes up or down for whatever period of time that you like. And you don't need to check off any boxes for this session. It's just for your informational and educational purposes only. Did the graph pop up for everyone when you click show and plot?
Yes.
Okay, great. Alrighty, so if any of the check boxes cannot be checked to perform the actions, then maintenance might need to occur. And so you may want to try your best to maybe, check the Wi-Fi box, or maybe checking, let's just, maybe there was a storm. Sorry, Wi-Fi is for purple air. Maybe there was a storm and maybe the solar panel is now to a different direction or location or tampered with. And so if there's any issue that can't be resolved, if you can't fix it yourself, you could just contact the USF or the TPO and we can help you resolve the issue.
Okay, so that's really what is involved in the checks. That for each of the monitors, there's basically 3 check boxes that indicate if things are performing, if the monitor is working. So what we ask is that you basically, if you experience any issues in installation from the previous part of this slideshow to performing your error sensor check or doing any indicated maintenance activities, please contact us. Don't, we're here for help to help. When you do these checks, keep your weekly checklist for your records and then report back on what, how things have been going with the weekly checks. Either if everything's been healthy, then we might not hear from you until the next coalition meeting, for instance. But report back on what you found. You don't need to provide the checklist to anyone or anything like that. Just keep it for your records and report back to the team when we meet next. And reach out to us if anything is amiss. And that's what is involved in the weekly checks. And hopefully by doing the checks, you start to kind of get curious about the data and start to learn and have questions about that data, and that we can help to answer when we meet again. At this point, we are done with our training presentation. We hope that has helped you feel a little bit more comfortable about hosting and potentially what goes into installing, and then what type of what's involved in the checks, and we can answer any questions you might have. How does everybody feel about? Were you able to go through the checks and for your sites on the web pages?
Yes.
Or the sites that you chose? Okay, good.
Yes.
So one thing that we do as part of this whole network development is we revisit the procedures and quality assurance project plan each year. So if there are comments on the processes that we just talked about or things that could be done better, we would love to hear those too. That's great feedback. So please feel free to, to instigate that kind of information and provide that, because this is your network. And we just want to make it as easy and as good as it can be. All right.
Dr. Stewart, we have a question actually in the chat that came through from Tracy, which is it unusual for the AQI value to be 0?
Yeah, I mean, it would usually be somewhere, if it's a good air quality, you're going to get between 0 and 50. So not seeing it as actually 0, 0 itself, that would be unusual. You're more likely to see it kind of in low numbers, but not at 0. Do you see it? Did you see a lot of that?
One of them was when, I know when Jocelyn and I were looking at it, I think it might have had to do with the calibration.
Yeah.
Are you able to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so these types of monitors, air sensors, they are really a great emerging technology because they are small and they can be put out lots of places, but they also have some aspects that we have to deal with regard to their their calibration and their basically data correction. So all of the data are co-located. I mean, obviously the monitors are co-located with reference monitors. That's part of the work of the network to determine kind of what the quality of the data that are produced by the monitor, and then to create correction models. So for instance, the data can over or under predict, and then we correct that. So if you're seeing things that are at 0, that might be indicative of a need for correction. And we'll see that as we look at the data each year. That's part of what we do, is kind of look through and analyze the data and develop calibration models and correction models for the monitors in order to improve and to be able to understand and communicate the uncertainty in the data that are produced.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much, Amy and Serena. Thank you as well for everybody who's attended and participated in other ways. Just a few brief things. Just a reminder again, if you're parked in the Pierce Street garage, just come visit me after and I can provide a parking validation. A reminder to continue to check the project webpage for updates. All the materials from today's meeting, including the presentation and also the recording, those will be made available along with any kind of follow-up. That will be available online, and we'll also follow up with all of you through email who've attended. Another message I wanted to give was that as we think about the coalition and the project more broadly, to be thinking about your own networks, not just professional, but neighbors, others. The project really is intended to promote a general interest, and so that's a message I want to give. Just share this work with others so that we can continue to have a good reach. And yeah, I think this was a wonderful meeting. I just want to thank everybody for attending and for all their contribution and involvement in the project. So I think that's covers it. Is there any final comments, words, questions?
I think the only thing I would add, I echo Wyatt's words. Thank you. We are always thinking of potential contacts, potential speakers. So if anyone happens to know someone that might be interested either in joining, hosting a site, or a speaker potentially, I know we have a combination of educational and technical presentations. We're also, as the coalition develops, could be working towards developing recommendations. So please keep that in mind as well. And we're also going to be refining the mission and vision of this coalition as well. So we really appreciate everyone being here and your thought about some of those future topic areas.
I just want to add that it was a great meeting and I thought it was really engaging to have the activities and walking through them and that toolbox. Yeah, great way to, encourage interaction and it illustrated, I think, I'm sure it is much more difficult than it sounds. Because it sounds pretty easy when you walk through the activities and you just have to check a few boxes. And so, but that was a great exercise. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We really enjoyed being here and look forward to working with all of you going forward.
Well, absolutely. Thank you so much again. Please stay in touch and moving forward. So I'll go ahead and end the recording. Again, in about a week or 2 weeks, we should follow up with the additional information from this meeting. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.